You're watching the Prime Ticket Network, sports TV that hits home.
The 1993 Paul Mitchell UCLA Gymnastics Invitational is one of the most prestigious events in collegiate gymnastics. Annually, it brings together many of the top teams and the premier individual athletes from all across America. This has been the showcase for such stars as Tim Daggett, Peter Vidmar, Mitch Gaylord, and Minnesota's John Roethlisberger. On the women's side, Jill Andrews, Tanya Service, Sherry Knight, Sharon Shapiro, and Kim Hamilton have also participated in the UCLA Invitational. Tonight, 11 teams, more than 120 gymnasts are assembled here at Pauley Pavilion as we are set to go with the 1993 renewal of the Paul Mitchell UCLA Invitational. Years ago, Pauley Pavilion was the showcase for one of America's shining gymnastics achievements, the Summer Games of '84. It was here where the American men won the gold, the American women the silver. Good evening, everybody. I'm Phil Stone. Tonight, it's the 35th renewal of the Paul Mitchell UCLA Invitational. It's a team competition, but here in 1993, it's the talent of the individual that will showcase this 93 campaign. Working with me on the telecast this year to analyze the men's competition is former UCLA Bruin Chris Waller. And Chris, on the men's side, this is loaded with talent, led by two-time NCAA all-around champion Minnesota's John Roethlisberger.
Right, there are 6 very strong teams here today, but the team to beat once again will be Minnesota. They're the champions last year at this meet, and they're the highest-ranked team at the competition today. They'll be led by Carrie Houston and John Roethlisberger. John Roethlisberger is a 1992 Olympian and ranked 2nd, and Carrie Houston is a sophomore sensation, ranked 5th.
For UCLA, and you know him well, Chris, I'm talking about Cheney Humphrey. A year ago, he was out, a medical redshirt with a fractured foot. He's back this year, and though he is unranked for the first time in his collegiate career, this guy is one of the most explosive gymnastic talents in all the sport.
Absolutely. Cheney Humphrey can never be counted out. When it comes to the big competition, he puts it together, and he's very hungry to win. The last time he competed here, he won this competition, so he'll be tough to beat also.
Indeed he will. This is also a women's competition, and here in 1993, former Bruin gymnast Maura Driscoll will join me to lend her expertise on the women's side. And Maura, what a tremendous field. And of course, tonight we are going to see perfection in motion.
That's right, Phil. In fact, 2 out of the 5 women's teams competing here are ranked in the top 10 nationally. And they are ASU ranked number 6 and UCLA checking in at number 7. So look for these 2 teams to be battling for the number 1 spot tonight. But in the individual competition, keep your eye out for perfection, as 4 competitors here have posted a perfect 10 in collegiate competition. We'll start with the ASU Sun Devils. Sophomore sensation Tina Brinkman is an All-American on the floor exercise, but just last weekend, she scored a perfect 10 on the vault, and she is ASU's top all-arounder. Now, sophomore co-captain Dana Lister, her area of expertise, the balance beam. In fact, she scored 2 10s this season. And their freshman teammate Jenny Esther scored a perfect 10 last weekend on the uneven bars.
And how about those UCLA Bruins? As tough as ASU's Lady Sun Devils are going to be, it seems like the team you were once a part of is always loaded with talent. And here in 1993, it's no exception.
That's exactly right. In fact, keep your eye out for senior Amy Thorne. She was last year's West Regional Floor Exercise Champion, scoring a 9.95. But on February 12th, she upped her career best to a perfect 10 on the floor. She did that in front of her home crowd versus BYU. But pay close attention to the explosive Karima Merrow. She's a sophomore out of Meriden, Connecticut, and she'll do some tumbling on the floor exercise that you won't want to miss. She was also the all-around champion last year at this meet, and she is a fierce competitor.
Well, everybody is set to go. We're ready. Rotation number 1 is coming up in just a moment as we get set to begin the 1993 Paul Mitchell UCLA Gymnastics Invitational. We'll be back in a moment. Prime Ticket presents UCLA Gymnastics, brought to you by Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care.
We live in a world of illusions. You see something, you think it's real. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's not. Like counterfeit hair care products that look like Paul Mitchell or say they have the same formula, like the ones you might find in drugstores or supermarkets. Don't be fooled by their looks, because we can only guarantee they're Paul Mitchell if you get them in a salon.
Remember, what you see
Isn't always what you get.
For a Paul Mitchell signature salon, call this number.
It's time for the Nissan LA Open, presented by the LA Junior Chamber of Commerce. Experience the thrill of the oldest Civic-sponsored event of the PGA Tour. Defending champion Fred Couples, Davis Love III, Open champ Tom Kite, and others. A full week of outstanding golf with celebrities, clinics, shootouts, and more. Proceeds benefit over 60 charitable projects. It's the Nissan LA Open, February 21st through the 28th at the Riviera Country Club. For tickets or corporate sponsorships, call 1-800-7-LA-OPEN.
We welcome you back to Pauley Pavilion here in Westwood, California. An evening of superb gymnastic competition. This, the 1993 Paul Mitchell UCLA Gymnastic Invitational. UCLA in the first rotation on the floor. This is freshman Steve McCain from Missouri City, Texas.
Yeah, Steve McCain is an incredibly talented gymnast. He's got great technique, and he'll be a gymnast to look out for in the future. Being only a freshman, he's already scored a 9.6 on floor exercise. He mounts here with what's called a layout Thomas, rated an E move, the most difficult one could do on floor. And then a tuck Thomas roll, first done by Kurt Thomas. Notice his lines and extension. He's always pushing out in his shoulders and arms and trying to show every skill off. That's very important to get that last tenth when you want to get a 9-9. Taking a breather. Oh, that'll be at least 3/10. Does a handspring front full. On that trick right there, he simply he didn't have enough momentum after the handspring and fell to the side, a little crooked. Rest before his dismount, double tuck, and a pretty good landing. Without that falter on the third pass, that was a very solid routine, but that's going to cost him at least 3 to 4 tenths.
Just a few moments ago, Illinois' Nick Baker, senior co-captain on the rings competition. Wasn't all that long ago, Chris, when he was the junior rings champion back in 1989.
And you can see Nick is an extremely strong athlete. Listening for the cross. He held it for a long time in a low position. A Maltese, his second strength move. Right to a kip L cross, his third. And now he pulls out 4 strength moves right in the beginning of his routine. Most athletes are hoping to get 2 good ones in. He's already got 4. But there's a whole nother aspect to rings, and that's the swing part. And let's see how well he does there. Right there, that little bobble is going to cost him at least a tenth or 2. And he simply did not show quite enough swing moves on rings. His dismount could even have incurred a deduction because it wasn't difficult enough.
Steve McCain on the floor, his score 9.44. Wow, what a great young talent here. Gerard Sherlock's Bruins of UCLA, just a freshman out of Texas. A couple of years ago was on the first place team of the Olympic Festival.
You can see here, you can overhear Yefim talking to him. He's quite upset about that third pass because for him that's an easy skill.
I'll tell you this, 10-ring circus here on the floor at Pauley Pavilion, the site of so many outstanding events, happenings here in Los Angeles. And what a meet this is going to be tonight, year in and year out. Bruins do such a terrific job, and there's Art Sherlock. Been here 29 years. It's almost unbelievable. Head coach at UCLA. Now let's go to the high bar. Minnesota Golden Gophers. Certainly one of the great stars in gymnastics all across America. Minnesota's John Roethlisberger. And one of his teammates is getting set to go. But on the floor exercise, it will be UCLA's Cheney Humphrey who is chalking up as he gets set to go after the floor. We mentioned at the outset, Cheney, bothered by a stress fracture, missed all of last year. He's now a senior out of Albuquerque. He's got a younger brother who's a member of this team, and mom and dad are here watching Cheney's last UCLA Invitational. I'll tell you, before that stress fracture, Chris, Cheney Humphrey, one of the greatest collegiate athletes I have personally ever seen.
Absolutely. Cheney is one of the most dynamic and strong athletes I've ever seen as well. Internationally, he is known for his strength in the rings and his power on floor exercise. You'll see in this routine how he takes command of the event right from the start.
Talked about that stress fracture last year. He still returned to compete at the '92 U.S. Olympic trials, and he just missed a spot on the team that went to Barcelona. Of course, a team that most American gymnastic fans would just as soon forget about. What a disaster at Barcelona for the men.
That was quite a disappointment for Cheney after the Olympic trials. After a short break, he continued his training, and as you'll see here with his mount, a double layout mount, he is back in shape. That was very solid, no deductions. Showing flexibility. This is a requirement. The press. His second pass, handspring layup, front punch, front, front. This is a trend in gymnastics you will see more of in the future. The new rules require athletes to up their difficulty, and the best way to get the tenths needed is to put skills in combination. That was a handspring layout front full. He didn't quite finish the twist at the end there, but it won't be more than a 10th deduction. Here's another requirement, a one-hand or one-leg scale on the floor. Takes a breather and sets up for his dismount, a double tuck. Double tuck, and nearly sticks it. Not more than half a 10th deduction for that dismount. This is going to be a good scoring routine.
Cheney Humphrey, terrific floor exercise, and now our first look at the women tonight. From Arizona State is Tina Brinkman.
Tina Brinkman is an all-around athlete. In fact, she is the Pac-10 champion on this event. That was her release move. That was called a ginger. And the top gymnasts on the uneven bars tonight are going to be trying to incorporate two release moves. Setting up for her dismount. That's a giant full to another giant. And a toe on front with a half. That was a nice routine for Tina. She had a little problem on her ginger, but not too bad. Phil, this event has evolved over the years so dramatically. The women are swinging the uneven bars, much like the men swing the high bar. We'll see that tonight.
Cheney Humphrey a moment ago in the floor exercise, well off his career best of 9.80. Tonight he records a 9.6. Now back on the bars competition, Maura Driscoll, Tina Brinkman's teammate Jenny Esther, just a freshman from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
And she is a star on this event. She scored a 10 last weekend. Here she goes with a front giant to immediate pirouette into a Tkachev. Now that's a release move that was first done by a Soviet gymnast. And like I said, she got a 10 on this event just last weekend. Her giant swing, and her dismount, a double back, nice and high, great landing for Jenny Esther. She is just a freshman and has a lot of international experience. She was a 19. She got a 9.80 on that event.
What a terrific way to get the Lady Sun Devils off and running here at the 93 UCLA Gymnastics Invitational.
Dodge announces the perfect truck for work or play. Dodge Dakota. Whatever the job, Dakota has an available 180 horsepower Magnum V6. And for after hours, we really dressed Dakota up with over $2,500 in options at no extra charge, like air, power steering, stereo cassette, and more. Add $500 cash back and your total savings are over $3,000. See your nearest Dodge dealer for the perfect work or play pickup. Dodge Dakota.
We welcome you back to Pauley Pavilion as we are set to go for rotation number 2. You are looking at 3-time Big Ten Gymnast of the Year, Minnesota's John Roethlisberger.
Yeah, John Roethlisberger is a great athlete, and it's hard to say what event is his best, but I'd have to argue floor exercise is. He mounts very easily with a full in, back out, double back. Comes back with a unique pass, handspring layout front full, step out. Round up flip flop, double full, punch front. Again, that's using 2 D elements in one pass. And with the new requirements, the scores only started at 9.5. That means you have to do more difficulty to get into the 9.6, 9.7, and 9.9 ranges.
Chris, it's interesting to point out that not every routine is automatically worth a 10, but that the gymnasts have to do certain skills to earn their tenths of bonus to make it worth a 10-0 value.
Yeah, Mara, this is a big change for this year. They've never been worth a 10, but last year the men's gymnastics started at a 9.8. This year it's starting at a 9.5 is the base score. So it's much more difficult to get a high score.
Exactly.
Dismounts with a full in and sticks the dismount. A very solid routine for John. That's going to score excellent.
John Roethlisberger also comes from a very great gymnastics family. Chris, I'm sure you can talk about that. His father, the head coach of the team.
Not only that, his sister Marie was the 1984 Olympian, 6-time U.S. national team member. I'll tell you, you have the last name of Roethlisberger, you're on your way to gymnastic greatness.
Yeah, I'd say so. They've had 3 Olympians so far, so John and Marie may have some more coming in the way. I don't know. John is planning to stay in gymnastics into the 96 Olympics, hoping to win a medal there and another berth on the Olympic team.
This is Kerry Houston, sophomore from Spring, Texas.
Kerry Houston is an all-around good athlete. He earned varsity letters in high school on diving, baseball, and track. And he's currently the #1 ranked gymnast on floor exercise in the country. However, that step out of bounds will be at least 2 tenths. That is a very difficult combination. Handspring layout front full, punch layout front full. That's given 3 tenths back in extra points over the 9.5. Press the handstand. Handspring layout front. As you see, these guys are really trying to take advantage of the combinations. When you put a skill together, a C and a D skill together, you get 1/10 of combination points back. So Kerry is capitalizing on that. Takes a breather before his dismount. Full and back out, little crooked. That's going to be a major deduction, however. A very difficult exercise, and he didn't fall down, but those steps out of bounds are going to cost him a lot.
UCLA's Cheney Humphrey on the pommel.
Cheney Humphrey has good swing, but his strength here is his strength. When most guys come off the horse, he can muscle through just about anything, and you wouldn't even know that he was off at all. Doing 2 scissors, preparing for his dismount, flare to handstand, 3/4 pirouette. A solid routine, that's going to score well. That should be around a 9.6, I'd say.
Cheney Humphrey, 2 years ago, he won the all-around at the UCLA Invitational. And this is Tina Brinkman.
New Mexico is on the floor in Minnesota.
Just a moment ago, we saw John Roethlisberger. We want to update you on his floor exercise score. He posted a 9.7.
And now we're on the balance beam where Tina Brinkman will compete for ASU. ASU is ranked number 7 in the country on this event. They're averaging at 47.56, and the balance beam is such a crucial event for this meet and in all of gymnastics. It is the event which requires focus and concentration, and really, as the old adage goes, the team that stays on the beam is the team that wins the meet, and that is really going to be the difference between the ASU Sun Devils and the UCLA Bruins. Whoever stays on the beam is probably going to win the meet. Now, Tina Brinkman, this is not her best event, but that doesn't say much because she's a tremendous all-around athlete. She is ranked number 13 in the country in the all-around, averaging at 38.81. And she's just having a tremendous sophomore season and a tremendous freshman year she had as well. Now,
she certainly doesn't have her game face on yet. That's kind of interesting to watch her kind of smile and interacting, chuckling, laughing with a teammate.
Actually, it's better to be pretend as if you do this every day, which they do. And on the balance beam, you really want to simulate the workout experience. I mean, you want to pretend you're in practice. You want to pretend there's no one in the stands. And you just want to do the routine that you've done thousands of times. Just getting ready to mount here. Now, every event has certain requirements, and the gymnast must meet those certain requirements. As Chris was talking about earlier, not every routine starts at a 10-0. In fact, for the women, it starts at a 9-6, and they have to earn certain bonus tenths to make their routine worth a 10. And here we go with her flight series. A back handspring, layout step up. You see she had a little bit of a form break, which is not really in line with the kind of gymnast she is. She's moving well, and she's very confident on the balance beam, though. A back tuck down to her knee. That's very difficult. That's a full turn requirement. What the judges do is they make sure that the gymnast has all of the requirements, and then they start with the start value, which is a 9-6. Then after that, they'll go ahead and add the bonus tenths that the gymnast can earn by doing originality, earning tenths through originality, which they get by doing certain tricks and combinations. And they can also earn an extra tenth for having an extra D. Now, skills are rated A through D. This is a tuck jump here to an immediate back handspring step up with a half turn. And that's a combination that's worth some value. As I was saying, a D is the most difficult skill. A is the most basic skill. Chris was talking about the men having E moves, and the women will be implementing a new code, and there will be E moves, but that won't be until next season. Tina is setting up for her dismount. Round off double full dismount, and that's great. She stayed on. She didn't have any major deductions, just a little form break in her flight series, but a good job for Tina Brinkman. You just want to stay on and do the best job that you can. The top gymnasts on the balance beam are going to be incorporating a flight series with 3 elements. Here's Tina again. We'll look at her dismount. This is a very difficult dismount. You won't see a lot of girls. It's a double full twist to a pretty good landing. Good job for Tina.
Oh, the sophomore from Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. A good effort on the balance beam. I think arguably, Mara, the women's most difficult apparatus. And while we await Tina Brinkman's score, we'll step away. We'll return to Pauley Pavilion in a moment.
We live in a world of illusions. You see something, you think it's real. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's not. Like counterfeit hair care products that look like Paul Mitchell or say they have the same formula, like the ones you might find in drugstores or supermarkets. Don't be fooled by their looks, because we can only guarantee they're Paul Mitchell if you get them in a salon.
Remember, what you see
Isn't always what you get.
For a Paul Mitchell signature salon, call this number.
night of gymnastics here on Prime Ticket. UCLA's Karima Mero, a sophomore from Meriden, Connecticut. Just a few weeks ago, scored a 9-9 on the vault against Boise State. What a talent on the vault.
Karima is such an explosive and powerful, dynamic gymnast. She was the all-around champion last year at this very meet just as a freshman. And she is such a phenomenal all-arounder. In fact, she's the only UCLA gymnast going all-around in this meet. UCLA has such a deep team that they really don't need everyone to go all-around. Now on this event, what we're trying to look for is height off of the horse and distance away from the horse. And a good, strong, powerful run. A handspring front pike.
Oh, she stuck it.
She nailed it. That was a beautiful vault for Karima. Now on the vault, not every vault again is worth a 10. These vaults are simply valued at a particular score. That vault is worth a 10. And we're going to see she practically achieved perfection here. Great pre-flight. Look at the power. Tight body position, piked, and she nails this landing. Boom. Great job for Karima. And take another look from a different angle. Tight body position, legs together, nailed that landing. Usually on your second vault, Phil, you want to try to stick the landing. I wonder what she's going to try to improve on here.
Well, the Pauley Pavilion record set 3 years ago by UCLA's Jill Andrews, 9.95. And Karima, UCLA's first vault of the evening, a 9.8.
Karima could win this meet easily if she hits every event, and she is off to a phenomenal start on the vault. Let's take a look at her second one. Again, height off of the horse, distance away from the horse, two key elements. And up, up, and away. Not as great on the landing, but she had that first one, a solid 9.8. That will count.
Mara, what are you thinking about during that pre-flight when you're heading down the runway? What's on your mind?
This is really a power event, and different from the balance beam. You're kind of excited that there are a lot of fans in the stands. Your, meet adrenaline gets going, and you just want to run as hard as you can, as fast as you can, and just drive your arms into the horse. And then it's really a technique event. It has a lot to do with the laws of physics. If your technique and timing is right, you're going to fly sky high.
Well, you see how quick she was going. She almost flew out of her leotard.
That's right. And this is going to be Dee Fisher on the vault. She's just a freshman, and what a phenomenal athlete. She's the little pixie, I like to call her. She scored a 9.95 just last weekend. She's going to be performing the same vault as Karima, which is worth a 10.0. It's a handspring front in the pike position. She's getting ready to go. Now, she's a totally different gymnast. She's definitely explosive, but has a different style altogether, and you'll be able to note that here in her vault. She got a lot of distance away from the horse, and you can see that if you take another look at it, or on her second vault. Last weekend I had a chance to watch her on this event, and she was on the money. She's doing so well for this Bruin team, and here's her first vault. She gets in there, her pre-flight, up, and look at the distance on that vault. She bends her knees a little there to land, but it's better to anticipate the landing than to land straight legs, and that's the difficulty in doing a pike vault. You have to keep your legs straight as long as you can, but you don't want to land lock-kneed.
Now, she was a member of the Junior Olympic national team, competed at Clovis West High School in Fresno, California. In fact, Dee Fisher was the North Yosemite League's first All-American at the prep level. What speed down the runway.
That's right, and that's a key ingredient here. Now this one, she's going to try to stick her landing. You can bet on that. And a little hop on the landing, but a much better vault. She did not bend her knees, anticipating the landing. It's tough to go forward because you can't see your landing. When you go backward, you can see your landing. And now we're on the uneven bars. This is the University of Illinois, Natalie Forresthoffel. She is their top bar worker. And her release move, a ginger. She's moving nicely. Now, every bar routine must include 10 elements. That's one of the requirements. She had a problem there. She was trying to do a giant with a full turn, a full pirouette. And she didn't have enough momentum coming over the high bar, so she had to come down. Now, she has 30 seconds before she can remount the bar and the bars, and if If she doesn't do it in that time, then it's a deduction. That's really unfortunate for Natalie because she's been suffering some injuries. She broke the metatarsals in her foot prior to coming to college. She is just a freshman. She's finishing up her routine. Giant swing to a double back flyaway dismount. Great landing. She's a little disappointed in that. You can see that for sure. She regularly goes 9-8 on this event.
Now she has every reason to be disappointed. Just a freshman out of Cincinnati, Ohio, a two-time Ohio State prep champion and three-time national competitor. Let's go now to Arizona State. Pardon me, Minnesota.
This is his best event. He swings very big. He's a swinger. That's his strength. Strength is not his strength. However, you're not seeing the best of him yet. That fall right there is going to cost him at least 5/10, plus the form deductions before he came off the horse. In the past, Brian Yee has gone up to 9-8 on this event, but today we won't be seeing a score that high. Remounting with the scissors where he left off. Pick up in the circles and hop the handstand. The routine had plenty of difficulty to score well, but the fall is going to cost him. And you see that in the score, the 9-0. Without the fall, would have been at least a 9.5. Very respectable score.
We're set now for Dana Lister, Arizona State, as she gets set to mount the balance beam. She's just a sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Dana Lister is an incredible performer on the balance beam. She just packs this routine with so much difficulty. As I mentioned earlier, she scored a 10 on this event twice this season, which is just a phenomenal accomplishment. Now, some of the top gymnasts on the balance beam are going to try to be incorporating a flight series with 3 elements. Dana Lister goes one step beyond. She's going to be doing a flight series with 4 elements. It's a cartwheel, flip-flop, layout, step-out, all on the balance beam. And her mount is also very difficult. She's going to be doing a round-off layout mount. She's talking to her coach now. This is an event definitely where the meat jitters can really turn against you. You want to have, you were saying your game face, you want to put your beam head on, which is kind of like your game face. You just want to, you really want to kind of calm down. If you come off of an explosive event and go to the balance beam, it's not your favorite thing to do. She's
your
getting ready to...
head. I like that. Certainly Trekkies around the country will know what you're talking about.
I think I just made that up. But head coach John Sweeney for the Arizona State Sun Devils has been there 13 years. And actually, this event is a crucial event for them because they had some problems last year that cost them at least 3 spots at nationals. And they finished 7th last year, so of course, they could have done a lot better given the fact that they stayed on the beam. So this is something that they've really been working hard on. Again, focus and concentration, a lot of mental concentration on the balance beam. A round-off layout mount. She nailed that landing. That was incredible. Now look at the precision that she's working balance beam with. All of her arm movements, everything has a place. Back handspring, layout, step out. You can just note the air of confidence. You can tell a great beam worker if the person looks like they're not on something that's 4 inches wide and 4 feet off the ground. Now she didn't do the cartwheel, flip-flop, layout, step out, but she's done a lot of tumbling so far, a cartwheel, back handspring, and a back handspring, layout, step out. She's doing some elements down on the beam. This is also a requirement. Full turn requirement. You notice she's not giving anything away. She's not giving any area for the judges to take off and deduct. She's really moving beautifully. And her leap sequence, a little problem there, but she recovered well into an immediate side aerial. So important to stay tight and to pull up on the balance beam. You can't let your shoulder get out of whack. You can't let your hips get out or else you fall off. Round off back handspring, full twist dismount. Incredible beam routine. Jam-packed with difficulty, exactly as we expected.
While we await Dana Lister's score on the beam, we'll take you across the floor where UCLA's Cheney Humphrey on the still ring.
That was a Nazarian roll to an L cross. a front roll to an L-cross, and a pull-out. Those are three of the most difficult strength moves you can do on rings. This is definitely Cheney's strongest event. That was a Yamawaki, a double front flip to a back upright lock handstand. Little shaky there. Preparing for his dismount. Full twisting. Double layout, and he sticks the dismount. You can see he's happy with that. A 9-9 and well-deserved. That routine has all the difficulty and swing moves required in these routines.
Well, he was the 1991 Pac-10 Rings champion. No surprise at all that Humphrey would nail a 9-9 here tonight.
We're back on Dana Lister waiting for her score. She's used to getting a 10 on this event. I wonder what she thinks of when she gets up on that balance beam every time. It must be tough to, having scored a 10, to go out there and do that every time. People must expect that. And it must put a certain amount of pressure on her. And the balance beam is a pressure event as it is. So you don't want that added pressure.
We're talking about her coach, John Spini, in his 13th year. He's had 4 Pac-10 conference championships and would love to have another.
We live in a world of illusions. You see something, you think it's real. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's not. Like counterfeit hair care products that look like Paul Mitchell or say they have the same formula, like the ones you might find in drugstores or supermarkets. Don't be fooled by their looks, because we can only guarantee they're Paul Mitchell if you get them in a salon.
Remember, what you see
Isn't always what you get.
For a Paul Mitchell signature salon, call this number.
Saturday morning, Mr. Wendell LeCrance begins a search for a used car.
Hi, about the car and what's sold? Okay, fine. It's an 87? Oh, it's a 47. Okay, fine. Oh, it's not a car. Okay, fine.
Sunday evening, Wendell ended his search. Don't waste your time.
Hello, car search.
Just call 1-800-CAR-SEARCH, and in 5 minutes, they'll mail or fax you a free custom list that'll let you find the right used car or truck. 1-800-CAR-SEARCH. If it's not on our list, it's probably not for sale.
Okay, fine.
Prime Ticket presents UCLA Gymnastics, brought to you by Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care. Now, before we went away, we saw Arizona State's Dana Lister, the sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma, performing on the balance beam. Her score, 9.65.
It's going to be tough in this meet to get the big scores, because this meet really has the feel of a championship meet. Multiple teams, every event going on at once, and a rotation system much like that of the NCAA's. It's a good practice meet for all these girls.
UCLA is now rotated to the vault competition. And up next, it is Brad Hayashi, senior from Irvine, California. Rebounded from a torn ligament, Chris, in his knee to compete at the Southwest Cup last season. And in his first meet back in the all-around, scored a 54.1.
Yeah, he recuperated incredibly from that injury. And in 1990, he was the NCAA champion on vault. He's still doing the same vault that he competed back in 1990. It's called a layout Cuervo. That's a layout front flip with a half twist. But now the vault is no longer worth a 9.8. It's only worth a 9.5. So while it's a beautiful vault and he does it very well, he won't get the 9.875s that he used to.
Men's gymnastics really kind of undergoing an evolution in scoring as we watch Hayashi on the vault.
Good. Nails the vault. Those 2 steps will cost him, but you'll see in the air he had perfect form, great laid out position, good distance. All in all, a very good vault. He's very fast, good preparation. And you'll see in the air, he's in a great stretched arch position there. Arms wide out to the side and really ready to nail the landing, but I think he didn't bend his knees quite enough when he hit the ground. I think he could have stuck that landing.
The difference between the men and the women on this event, the vault, is the men only get 1 vault, and the vault is turned the other way for the men. So the women get 2 vaults, and it's the vault is in a different position. This is
making it awfully tough on the men, I'd say.
You guys can handle it.
Good crowd on hand here at Pauley Pavilion to watch this 35th renewal of the Paul Mitchell UCLA Gymnastics Invitational. talk about the evolution that is going on in your sport, Mara and Chris. From the men's perspective, what is the biggest thing happening right now as 93 begins to give way to 1994? Would it be in scoring and difficulty of disciplines?
Absolutely. Scoring has been completely revamped in men's gymnastics. Generally speaking, the scores are much lower. So you've got to do more difficult routines than you ever had to get the same score.
Held on the bars, it is Amy Thorne of UCLA competing in her last UCLA Invitational. See, she's a senior and looking over the bars, adjusting them to her particular height needs. I never knew that until the last couple of years, that, Mara, you can adjust these bars just as you want them. Every competitor adjusts them a bit differently.
Absolutely, and the trend is to adjust them way far out so that the high bar is as far away from the low bar as it possibly can be, because like I said earlier, they're swinging the uneven bars like the men are swinging the high bar. And what I mean by that is look for a lot of giant swings and release moves. And when I say release move, what I mean is basically letting go of one bar, usually the high bar, flipping and then catching that same bar. And UCLA has a very strong bar team. They are ranked number 9 in the country, averaging a 48 on this event. Amy Thorne, she's going to do 2 release moves, a Ginger and a Tkachev. She has such great extension and form. Look at how tight her legs are. Great toe point, giant swing. There's her first release move, Ginger. She caught it way out from the bar, which is great. And she's getting set for her other release move, a Tkachev, and she caught that too. Like I said, the top gymnasts are going to, a little trouble there, going to be incorporating 2 release moves and a double full flyaway dismount with a little hop, but a great job. Now, Phil, the reason why they're going to be doing 2 release moves is because when they get to regionals this year, the judges are going to use that as a guideline to separate the best gymnasts from the good gymnasts. So if you don't have 2 release moves, you're not going to get the high scores.
On the rings competition, Minnesota, and there is the man,
John Roethlisberger. There he is on the rings. Another strong event for him. As I said before, John really doesn't have a weak event. But at this point, he probably realizes that Cheney Humphrey has hit every event so far. So it's going to be a close race for the all-around.
Poly Pavilion record belonging to Scott Keswick, Cheney Humphrey, Alex Schwartz, Paul O'Neill, 9.9. This is a guy who could eclipse that.
That's right. So far, he's shown us a lot of good strength moves, good swing. It's kind of a unique giant there where he pikes on the way up to flare it a bit more. A tuck half and F out, nails the dismount. He's got to be happy with that one. But he's got his rings head on, it looks like. Very serious. He's going to keep concentrated till the end of the event.
Back at the bars, UCLA's Karima Merrow.
And Karima, again, that explosive, powerful gymnast. She almost has to contain her power on this event. Her power really serves her well on vault and floor, of course, but she is a tough competitor on this event as well. Straddle over mount. The giant full pirouette. Into a giant half overshoot to handstand. See, she had to reach for that high bar because it's far away. And her release move, a Tkachev. Again, first done by a Soviet gymnast. And setting up for her dismount. Watch this power, a double pike. And she stuck it. That was incredible. You see that power? She just comes alive when she can. And that was evident on the dismount.
Her teammate Amy Thorne a moment ago recorded a 9.70 on the bars.
That's a great score for Amy. The way the lineups work in gymnastics is that the event works such that the best gymnasts go last. So,
John Roethlisberger.
Excuse me, go ahead.
John Roethlisberger's got to be happy with his ring score, 9.8, very close to eclipsing that 9.9 score set by Scott Keswick and others in years past.
Sorry about that, Chris. As I was saying, the lineup, the idea behind it is that the best gymnasts go last. So if Amy was up 3rd or 4th in the lineup and she got a 9.7, that means good things for the rest of the gymnasts, because ideally we're going to see some better routines later on in the rotation.
Hard to
for
believe that
UCLA.
Karima Marrow is just a sophomore, Mara. She seems to have the lines and the skill and that confidence level of an upperclassman.
She definitely does, and she's such an unassuming gymnast. Here's her release move. Tkachev nice and high. She catches it out away from the bar. And now her dismount. Watch her just explode into the air. Nice, tight double pike, and she nailed it. Incredible.
With so many teams, as you look at Karima Marrow, so many teams, so many gymnasts here at Pauley Pavilion. As a team member, Mara, are you aware of the other teams? I mean, they're all over the floor competing in on the various apparatus. Or are you pretty much focused in on your own performance and your own team's performance?
You really need to be focused in on your own performance and your own team performance. I mean, that is what you're trained to do as an athlete. You can't be watching the other team. I mean, that would be the worst thing you could do, probably. In fact, competition, it's a great team matchup.
We're coming back to Pauley with more in just a moment. Welcome back to Pauley, UCLA on the uneven bars. This is a sophomore from Sandy, Utah. Her name is Megan Fenton. Boy, what an outstanding performer on the bars.
This girl can swing. She is going to do a Tkachev both directions. So she's going to do it twice, facing 2 different directions. Look at this swing. Uprise to handstand, front giant. She's going to twist her body 360 degrees into another front giant pirouette into an immediate Tkachev. That is just phenomenal. Coach Scott Bull, you see him standing behind there. He comes up with combinations that you don't even know where he comes up with them. And there's her second Tkachev. She catches it. Unbelievable. Setting up for her dismount, a double back. She stuck it. That was incredible. Great job from Megan Fenton. That was the last performer for UCLA on the bars, and they just seem to hit all their routines. Her teammates are pleased as well. And we're taking another look at it here. Her Tkachev release move. It's also called a reverse heck. She caught it. Incredible. And her dismount, a giant through to a double back flyaway in the tuck position. Boom again. Good job for the Bruins.
Incidentally, a moment ago, her teammate Karima Marrow had a 9.75. Megan Fenton, the sophomore from Utah, awaits her score, and boy, was it a good one. In fact, as a freshman a year ago at Cal State Fullerton, she had a collegiate best 9.85. What a way to get her collegiate career underway last year. Well, what's it going to be here at the 93 renewal of the Paul Mitchell UCLA Invitational at 9.9.
What a great job for Megan. She must be pleased with that, because this is a tough meet to get big scores. They're not going to be giving them away tonight. They're just not going to do that. And Megan is ranked number 6 in the country, averaging a 9.82 on the uneven bars, and that is going to up her overall average for the season.
That is a new Pauley Pavilion record. Amy Thorne held the record at 9.8. And now that record belongs to Megan Fenton, and she's just a sophomore.
Phil, it looks like these Bruins are fired up to win this meet tonight. And it's an incredible matchup between ASU, here on the floor exercise now, and UCLA.
This is Debbie Bryan, a sophomore from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She is a Lady Sun Devil.
Now, Now, the floor exercise is such a fun event. It really allows the gymnasts to showcase their personalities. You'll see all different styles of dance, balletic styles, jazzy styles, and different music selections as well. A double pike to a great landing for her first tumbling pass. You'll notice music will be different, and you'll note a tempo change as well, which is a requirement on the floor exercise. It's fun to get the crowd into this event with you. Second pass, a full and a half to an immediate punch front. A great second pass. Now in this event, you don't mind again that there's a lot of people in the stands. You want to get them into your routine. You see your teammates on the side are getting into it. It really gets you fired up to do the best job you can do. Personality and showmanship are key elements on the floor exercise. On the floor exercise also, though, you need to incorporate explosive tumbling skills with beautiful and elegant dance. She's getting a little breather here before her last tumbling pass. She does an Arabian 1 1/4. Now that's a D element plus 2/10, so she's getting bonus for that. But interestingly enough, as of now, that's not going to be in the code next year. A good routine for Debbie Bryan. Great job for her.
Debbie, who transferred from the University of Nebraska, certainly adds all-around depth to John Speeney's Lady Sun Devil. There's no question about that. She's a junior.
She's the co-captain of this team, and she is a great performer as well.
Now Minnesota's men are at the vault, and that is where we find John Roethlisberger.
John Roethlisberger has gone as high as a 9.75 on vault, but in the new rules, he hasn't quite mastered a vault that could give him that high of a score. He's going to perform a layout Kazamatsu, a low landing, but nails it. A little bit low there. They could still deduct because he landed so low and had to bend his knees a lot.
Keep in mind, the men, you just get one shot at that vault, unlike the women.
Good approach, a lot of power. Round off a little split knees there. It's a little low, actually. But he's such a tough competitor. He's going to stick anything he can, and he does. John Roethlisberger showing again what it takes to be a strong competitor. You can see he's upset because he could have gotten a few tenths higher, even though he's stuck. Most athletes would say, hey, that was a good vault, but he wants to do it even better.
I was walking behind him before the competition started. Talk about having an inferiority complex. Walking behind a guy with shoulders like that. Almost took a folding chair and clubbed him.
He's got to walk sideways through doors, you know. Pretty good for a guy who's only 5'6.5" or so.
His score, not good. 9.35, well off his personal best of 9.8.
There you can see, John doesn't look disappointed, but right after that vault, you could tell he was. But a tough athlete has got to get over the disappointments quickly and go on to the next struggle, the next competition.
Very attractive Debbie Bryan of Arizona State on the floor exercise a moment ago, a 9.75.
That is a great score for Debbie. She has to be pleased with that. And now we're looking at the star on this event, Tina Brinkman. She has achieved perfection on the floor exercise. She is currently the Pac-10 champion, and she won that event last year, scoring a perfect 10.
I think Arizona State, Mara, has perhaps more depth on the floor than maybe any collegiate team in America.
And she's opening with a full twisting double back. Incredible, she nailed it. That was beautiful. You know, there aren't too many girls in college who do that. A lot more now than a few years ago, but that was a strong, strong opening for Tina. And her second tumbling pass, a double back. Another great tumbling pass. We're going to see if she's going to try to incorporate a double back to end, which is a very difficult thing to do. Now, ASU has a new choreographer that they just hired this year in December. She's an assistant coach. Her name is Tracy Mosher, and she has a strong dance background. And a lot of teams around the country are noting that the choreography on floor exercise and balance beam has really improved for the Sun Devils. So kudos to Tracy Mosher. And her last tumbling pass, a double full, still a good strong tumbling pass in terms of difficulty. On the floor exercise, what the girls are going to try to do is have every path be worth a C, and she definitely did that. She went over and above the call again in terms of difficulty. This is that tempo change we're talking about. Very dramatic on the floor exercise. A beautiful, beautiful routine for Tina Brinkman.
A lot of people think she has a shot at the NCAA title, and if she would nail it in '93, she'd become ASU's 9th NCAA champion. Here's Carrie Houston of Minnesota on the vault.
Doing the most difficult vault perform in the world today. Carrie Houston's 10.68 100-meter dash helps out, but as you can see here, he just over-rotated that a bit too far. The pre-flight, it looks like he rushed a bit, and at the end he had to pull too hard and got a huge deduction on account of it.
First time we have seen Mark Feingold from Cal Berkeley. He's a senior from Lincroft, New Jersey.
This is Mark's best event.
Allie was sidelined a couple of years ago with a broken right forearm, suffered in a home meet in '91, returned to top form, Chris, last season, qualified for the Nationals in the all-around. I like this guy's style.
He's gone as high as 9.75 on pommel horse. So he could potentially do that again tonight.
A moment ago, we saw Tina Brinkman on the floor. Her score, 9.85.
Tina Brinkman is doing really, really well tonight, and this is going to be a great individual matchup between Tina Brinkman of ASU and Karima Marrow of UCLA.
Mark is a senior, and he's really starting to put things together now in his last year. Last week, he scored his all-time high of 56.25 in the all-around. Let's see how he fares on pommel horse.
Chris, is this an event that male gymnasts look forward to, or is this sort of a dreaded apparatus?
You know, that really depends on the athlete, but when you're in a clutch situation, this is not the last event you want to do, and that's what just happened. Here on the very last event, Mark cracked under pressure, and you know, you don't see that too much from him. He really is a consistent pommel horseman, and his coach, Barry Wiener, is known to be one of the best pommel horse coaches in the country.
I think pommel horse, Chris, is similar to the women's balance beam in terms of needing to stay completely focused.
Absolutely. As you were saying, on pommel horse, you'd be just as happy to do pommel horse in a room without anybody there but your coach. It's not like the floor exercise where you want to show off. Again, showing the fact that he's a senior. He gets up there and finishes a solid routine. A younger competitor might have been so distraught by that miss that he could have thrown the rest of the routine away.
So Mark Feingold will await his marks. He led the Bears to a third-place finish in the Pac-10 men's competition a year ago. Humphrey is up next for UCLA. Pardon me, Chris.
Now, while I know Cheney Humphrey and John Roethlisberger aren't the kind of athletes to be looking at the scores between each rotation, I have a feeling that he knows he could be in contention to win this event again this year. John Roethlisberger could have left the door open with that last vault. 9.35 he scored on that event.
I think Cheney would probably want to bring it home in front of his home crowd as well. This meet is so fun for the UCLA team because it's their home turf and their home crowd.
Absolutely. He gets lots of good exposure in the Bruin paper. And this is his senior year. So let's see if he can handle the pressure of the last UCLA Invitational for Cheney Humphrey.
This is such a fun meet. It's really the one that you look forward to all year. It's the meet you want your family to come to, your friends to come to, and
your friends' friends to come
your
to.
friends, tell everyone you know. And there's a lot of excitement involved, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that this was the stage for the 1984 Olympics for gymnastics. You really feel the magic of Polly.
You can see the look on Cheney's face. He is serious about this last event. And he does a tough routine. This routine could score very well, but it's also risky. He does a lot of very difficult moves, including a giant double back between the bars, one of the most difficult moves performed on parallel bars. Cheney has an unusually good grip on parallel bars, while most guys have difficulty swinging underneath the bars, which is one of the requirements. Cheney mounts underneath the bars, hangs again underneath the bars with a giant, does a lot of moves underneath the bars, but it looks, oh, here comes the giant double back, and he makes it solidly. It looks good so far, no major breaks. This could be the routine to clinch the all-around. Another stitch hand double back, he's got a stick, and he does! It's gonna be close. You can see Coach is excited, but he knows it's going to be close.
Such a pleasure to watch Cheney Humphrey. He really makes gymnastics look effortless. We all know that's not true.
Prepares for his dismount, does a stutz handstand, and double tuck, has to stick, sees the ground, and nails it. Yes.
29 years at the helm of UCLA. You rarely see that kind of a reaction from Art Sherlock. What a performance by that man.
Make the escape.
Now you could take advantage of the perfect paradise vacation getaway.
Imagine staying in a private home right in the Palm Springs area with everything you need to make a great vacation, including plenty of golf, tennis, swimming, racquetball, a complete spa and fitness center at your fingertips, and a child care center for your little ones, as well as fine dining. Call 1-800-869-1130 for more information about Palm Valley Country Club's vacation packages.
There's nothing quite like it under the sun.
We live in a world of illusions. You see something, you think it's real. Sometimes it is.
Sometimes it's not. Like counterfeit hair care products that look like Paul Mitchell or say they have the same formula, like the ones you might find in drugstores or supermarkets. Don't be fooled by their looks, because we can only guarantee they're Paul Mitchell if you get them in a salon.
Remember, what you see
isn't always what you get.
For a Paul Mitchell signature salon, call this number.
Prime Ticket presents UCLA Gymnastics, brought to you by Paul Mitchell, cruelty-free salon hair care. Things are heating up here at this 35th UCLA Gymnastic Invitational. Here is Steve Diem. He's a junior from Calabasas High School right here in the Los Angeles area. Or watch some of his moves.
Here we go. Gaylord 2 right here, Pike, and he catches it. Oh, that'll cost him. That's an intermediate swing plus the form deduction there. But he did catch the most difficult move in his routine.
That move was first performed here at Polybillion, was it not?
By Mitch Gaylord himself. Half and half out over the bar. So a little off on the dismount. That routine won't score that well, even though it had a lot of difficulty. He gave up some on the extra swing and some form deductions.
Chris, that was a different dismount. Is that the trend now? Are they doing dismounts similar to that of Steve Diem?
Well, that dismount is a difficult dismount, but it also is exactly the same as a Gaylord, as this trick right here.
I see.
So he feels very comfortable doing that dismount right there. That wasn't too comfortable. And he knows it because he was supposed to do another release move and opted to leave it out, probably because of the error he made there.
Now, Steve Diem a year ago as a sophomore scored career bests in all 6 of the disciplines. Oh, what a year he had as a sophomore.
This is Steve McCain, and he actually is a freshman. And in his first outing, he scored a 9.85 on this event. The Bruins, to me, look a little more intense than they did during the rest of the competition. That could be because it has come down to a very close meet between UCLA and Minnesota. And after the 5th rotation, there is less than a point difference between them. Steve knows he needs to hit this routine. Steve Diem gave up a little bit on the last routine, and he can do it. Preparing for his first big release combination. Stall to reverse hack to an immediate Ginger. Oh, he misses. That is one of the most difficult release combinations being done in gymnastics. The first move itself is rated as an E, combined with another release, very difficult.
Amazes me, Chris, how you guys could just pop right back up and Climb back onto the bar. There's DM's score you saw a moment ago. This again is the freshman Steve McCain as he remounts the bar.
He has yet another release to do, and I'm sure he's going to do it. One-arm Ginger. Done very well. Steve always goes all out on everything. Instead of pulling into the bar and being very safe on that one-arm Ginger, he still went all out trying to gain every tenth he can. Setting up for his dismount. Double twisting, double layout with just a little hop and a great routine, but it's not going to hold up with that fall.
Really impressive that Steve came back after that fall, and kudos to him. He did a great job.
That shows his potential as a young athlete.
It's really tough to do that, but you need to as a competitive athlete.
As you see, just a little bit far on that second release move. That's called a Ginger. He should have held on a little bit longer. You can see he's pretty upset with himself.
This is Minnesota's Kerry Houston on the parallel bars. As Chris mentioned a moment ago, UCLA and the Golden Gophers of Minnesota separated by 65/100ths of a point as we wind down here.
This is the real athlete of the competition. Take a look at those bars. They're set very wide on account of his bulk in his upper body. So far, pretty clean routine. The drawback is that he doesn't have the best line. If you see, he's got that arch in his back, and that kind of, well, that was a step there. That was at least 2.5 to 3/10 of a deduction on the dismount alone.
9.4. 2 years ago, Minnesota the toast of the Big Ten. Last year, dead last, trying to rebound here in '93. Steve McCain a moment ago, a 9.2 after that big fall on the high bar.
As you can see, a 9.2 with the fall is a respectable score, but it's not going to be good enough. These guys have got to hit if they're going to beat Minnesota.
Now chalking up on the parallel bars, it's John Roethlisberger. And Chris, I know you've been in this position. Many of your teammates at UCLA, as you chalk up that bar, you know that your team has got a shot at winning this competition. What's going through his mind? Is it a singular thought of let's just get this bar like I wanted, or do those thoughts rattle around in your noggin that, hey, I need to stick this?
John is a very serious and fierce competitor. He is trying his best to focus on every little thing he has to do, preparing the bars, getting set for that mount and the rest of his routine, and sticking to dismount. But you got to know that pressure is there, and in the back of his mind, he's fighting off those thoughts. I can't miss. I got to hit. The team's depending on me. It's a close competition.
You saw a moment ago just how close this UCLA Invitational is, as John Roethlisberger, one of the nation's premier gymnasts, is set to go to work.
In his hands, here's the ability to win this event for the first time in his career. He has not yet won the UCLA Invitational. Mounts with a solid peach basket to handstand. Front upright stutz handstand, good with a little leg split. That's a D move, a stutz to one bar. He recently learned that to try to up his difficulty on parallel bars. He looks a little fatigued. His dismount and the little hop backward is going to cost him at least 2/10. It was a big hop. He knows it wasn't a perfect routine. The pressure is on Cheney now. These guys are head-to-head in the all-around, and Cheney does 3 release moves in a row on high bar. The most to be done in the competition thus far. Here comes, setting up, reverse hack to an immediate Ginger. And he catches it solidly. He's on his way to a great routine. His cubital requirement there. Setting up for his dismount. Full twisting, double layout. There's a full, there's the layout, and he nails it! I think Cheney Upford just won this competition. The last competition here in Pauley Pavilion for him. He's got to be happy.
What an exciting routine for Cheney.
Releasing the bar on 3 successive go-arounds. John Roethlisberger a moment ago on the parallel bars, a 9.55.
John doesn't look too affected, but you got to know, being as fierce as a competitor as he is, he feels it. I think he knows that Humphrey is going to outscore him here.
I mentioned at the outset of our telecast, Chris Waller, that Cheney Humphrey at 91, one of the most explosive gymnasts I had ever seen. A year ago, out for the season with a stress fracture. Came back this year really unranked. You would never know it tonight.
That's right. Like I was saying at the beginning of the show, Cheney has that fire in him when it comes to that clinch it. He can do it in the biggest competition.
And now we're looking at Paula Rasmussen on the balance beam. She tied for second place last year at the Pac-10 Championships with a 9.85. She's getting ready for her flight series. She's a pleasure to watch on this event. A gainer, one arm back handspring, layout step out to a beautiful solid landing. She is so pretty to watch in this event. Look at her lines, her flexibility, her toe point. Everything is in place. So beautiful. That was no, not a TikTok. Valdez, there you go. A unique move. You can sense her confidence level on the balance beam. That was a full turn requirement. She tied this event, as I said, at the Pac-10s with her teammate Carol Ulrich on the balance beam. And also Dana Lister, an ASU gymnast here. Oh, now that was just a fluke occurrence. This is something she's done over and over. That was really just a jump series, a difficult one at that, but her foot just slipped. That's an unfortunate deduction. 5/10 for a fall. Front aerial. She really is pretty to watch on this event. And a gainer full dismount. She stuck that landing. It's really unfortunate that she fell on that jump series. You know, she's disappointed with that. You don't want to give anything away, and it is so crucial for UCLA to stay on the balance beam if they hope to win this competition.
Cheney Humphrey with brother Greg Humphrey. While he awaits his score, we're going to take you back to just a moment ago. We want to show you the entire routine. It was the performance of the night thus far.
Absolutely. This routine was packed with difficulty. Right here, there was a CD combination. He's already gained 2/10 back on this routine. And these releases he catches on his fingertips every time. Reverse hack to a Ginger. 3 releases in a row. Another 4/10 of tenths back. And he sets up for his dismount, knowing he's got a stick to win the all-around. And there it is.
He did not budge. That was beautiful.
He really put it together for his last competition here in Pauley Pavilion.
Now the Pauley Pavilion record on the high bar set back in 1985. Illinois' Charles Lakes recorded a perfect 10. While we await Cheney's marks, we are going back to the women's competition.
This is senior Carol Ulrich. Now that was a rare occurrence as well. She is a solid performer on the balance beam. She's an All-American on this event, and she tied second at the Pac-10s last year with her teammate we just saw, Paula Rasmussen. That was a straddle jump leap with a half turn or quarter turn. She's getting ready for her flip-flop, layout step out, her flight series with 3 elements. Here she goes. A great job. They really depend on her, this Bruin team, to come through in the clutch. She's the final girl up, and she's usually a solid performer. She hasn't fallen, but she's had a few bobbles here and there. It's not going to cost her too much, but a few tenths. This is a back tuck open to a straddle down, a Corbett back tuck. She's moving nicely on the balance beam. Co-head coach Valerie Kondos is a phenomenal choreographer, and her strengths are the balance beam and the floor exercise, of course, and it's evident in this fine UCLA team. Again, on the balance beam, the Bruins are ranked number 11 in the country. A little show of flexibility there. Full turn into a cartwheel, gainer full twist. That was a new addition to her floor routine. She used to just do a gainer full off of beam just standing there, but she incorporated that combination, which will be some value for her.
Paula Rasmussen a few moments ago, UCLA, her score on the beam, 9.4.
With a fall, that is a phenomenal score. That means if she stayed on the beam, she would have scored a 9.9. It is a 5/10 deduction for a fall. The Bruins really need to really need to incorporate solid performances on the balance beam. They really need to stay on to be up in the nation. This is her flight series, a back handspring, layout, step out. She stuck it. It was great. There's that confidence we can see on the balance beam for Carol Ulrich.
Now the 35th Paul Mitchell UCLA Gymnastics Invitational winding down here at Pauley Pavilion. We're going to come back and make some sense out of the team competition and the individual performances. What a night it has been.
I would like to congratulate the millions of volunteers and supporters of United We Stand America. You made history in the 1992 election. Since November, you have made it clear that you want to keep going forward to build our country and pass the American dream on to our children. Now we must make New Year's resolutions to put our people back to work, to pay our national debt, to make health care cost-effective, to get rid of foreign lobbyists, to make our neighborhoods safe, to create great schools for our children. This requires action, not talk. As the new administration takes office, we must take action so that our voices continue to be heard. This is the reason to join United We Stand America. We're conducting a nationwide membership campaign. The annual dues are $15. This money will be spent to educate you on the vital issues. Join us. Call the toll-free number or send the $15 membership amount with your name and address to the address shown on the screen. Let's pass on the American dream to our children. Let's get to work.
Coming up tonight at 10 o'clock, watch Press Box for all the scoops, the scores, the highlights, and the interviews on Press Box. Sports News Nightly at 10 p.m. only on Prime Ticket. Sports TV that hits home. We welcome you back to Pauley Pavilion along with Chris Waller and Mara Driscoll. I'm Phil Stone. The UCLA women are on the floor.
This is freshman Dee Fisher, and she is a phenomenal athlete. Her first tumbling pass is going to be a full twisting double back in the pike position, and UCLA is on fire tonight on the floor exercise. This is one of their strongest events. They are ranked number 9 in the country, averaging a 48.12. And co-head coach Valerie Condos has an incredible ability of identifying and creating a style for each gymnast. She is one of the premier choreographers in the country. And you will get a chance to look at her input on the floor exercise. Remember, full twisting double pike. Double back in the pike position. Here we go. And she stepped out of bounds there. That's going to be just a 1/10 deduction, but she stuck it. She's a little pixie. She's really a pleasure to watch, and she's coming on strong as a freshman. Note the music selection, too. It's also a very important element in the floor exercise. Not only choreography and explosive tumbling, but music selection. In her second tumbling pass, a double full to a great landing. She's so pretty to watch. You know, it's interesting, in gymnastics, the floor exercise really does define the dichotomy in women's gymnastics. On one hand, you have to have explosive tumbling skills and be this strong, tough athlete. And on the other hand, you have to be graceful and elegant and beautiful. That's a lot to ask of one person, but Dee Fisher is doing both of these things phenomenally tonight. She's going to take a little breather here for her last tumbling pass. See what she does. A double pike, another out of bounds deduction, but a double pike is an incredible last tumbling pass. We haven't seen many of those tonight. A great job for Dee Fisher. Again, those 2 little tenths that she stepped out, that's a 1/10 deduction, and then again on her last tumbling pass, that's going to cost her a little, but a great routine for Dee Fisher.
Well, what we have seen tonight from the UCLA women, Mara, a team that really lost only 1 member from last year's squad that placed 2nd at the regionals, 9th at the NCAAs. I think as the Pac-10s and the NCAAs approach, that these women from UCLA are poised and ready for this competition as it begins to unfold into February and March.
That is for sure. They are going to come on strong at nationals. I really believe that's the truth. And we're going to take another look at her tumbling pass. I believe this is her first pass, a full twisting double back in the pike position. So she pulled her legs over. She stepped out of bounds there, but she landed it, and that's a really tough thing to do. Again, not too many people in collegiate gymnastics do that. We saw Tina Brinkman do it earlier this evening on the floor exercise, but she did it in the tuck position. Though they're worth the same, it's sort of an unwritten upgrade to do it in the pike position, I believe. I think up next on this event, we're going to take a look at the explosive Karima Merrow, and here she is, Phil.
Just a sophomore from Meriden, Connecticut. A year ago, she set a personal best with a 9.9 on the floor versus the Cardinal of Stanford, Karima Merrow.
Watch this girl explode. She is so powerful in this event. She's going to be doing a double layout. It has not been done here tonight in this competition. In fact, she's only one of 4 girls competing it in collegiate competition. A double layout, and I'll tell you why it's so difficult, but let's take a look at it. A double layout, and she nailed it. That was so beautiful. The reason why that's so hard is because she's flipping backwards twice in a completely stretched position. It doesn't mean she can't pull her legs over to help her rotate, like when Dee Fisher pulled her legs over in that pike position, or Tina Brinkman in the tuck position. She just had so much momentum because of the power that she has as a gymnast. And a double full was her second pass. Again, another totally different style we're seeing here. And this is Coach Valerie Kondos' expertise. Maybe Karima isn't a great balletic dancer, but she's doing a jazzy exercise. And what Coach Kondos does is she really highlights their individual strengths. And that is a skill, that's for sure. I believe Karima's going to be ending with a double pike. Again, a very difficult last tumbling pass.
Keep in mind her career best, a 9.9.
A double pike. Boom! Great job for Karima. This routine is going to score really, really well.
What a routine.
What a routine.
She had a 9.8 on the vault, a 9.75 on the bars, and I think she was every bit as good as her vault competition here on the floor exercise. Dee Fisher a few moments ago, a 9.4.
It looks as if those steps out of bounds did hurt her a little because she certainly did have maximum difficulty. UCLA is so strong on this event. They really put it all together. And it's so fun, I know that it's so fun in this routine, in this event, to perform in front of your home crowd. And you can hear, you can just sense and feel the home crowd pulling for these UCLA Bruins.
You know, I said earlier in the telecast, and it would certainly apply to the men as well as the women, boy, as freshman and sophomore, these young ladies and young men performing well beyond their years.
Now we're going to look at Tina Brinkman. This is her second vault, actually. We're catching her there, and we'll show the first one after. Here she goes. She's going to do a handspring front with a half twist, and she nailed that as well. Got a lot of distance away from the horse, and that's a perfect 10 vault. So if the judges decide that she does it perfectly, she could get a perfect 10. And we know just last weekend, she did achieve perfection on this event at the Southwest Cup in Tempe, Arizona. Here was her first vault, handspring front with a half. Oh my goodness. She nailed both of them. And the score for Tina Brinkman, I believe it was a 9.65.
And look at Karima Merrow, a 9.95. That is a new school record and a new Pauley Pavilion record, 9.95. Equaling Jill Andrews' mark. Pardon me, Mara.
Karima has to be excited about that. Just last weekend, she competed. She normally goes last, but Amy Thorne, of course, scored a perfect 10. And she had to come up after a 10. It was a really tough thing to do. And she had a little bit of a problem. So a 9.95, she has to be pleased with that. A new Pauley Pavilion record.
And let's take you all the way back. I mentioned it at the outset, to 1984, the Summer Games here at Pauley Pavilion in Los Angeles. Tina Brinkman had a 9.75 for Arizona State. The point I was going to make is even during the Olympic Games of '84, nobody had a 9.95 in the vault.
I think Tina scored a 9.65 was for her first vault. So when the women get 2 vaults, naturally you keep the highest score. So Tina's score in the vault 9.75.
to correct that. Talking about the floor exercise, no one had a 9.95. Of course, Mary Lou Retton had a perfect 10 in the vault competition in '84. Now, Tina Brinkman, a great meet tonight here at UCLA. Tina bidding to become Arizona State's 9th NCAA champion.
And now we're looking at Amy Thorne, and she is so incredible in this event. Just scored a 10 last weekend, a career best, the first ever in UCLA history. Her first tumbling pass is a double pike. Up high. And she stepped forward a little, but that was an incredible cover. Amy Thorne is so great with her showmanship qualities, which is exactly what the floor exercise is all about. Just watch her facial expression. She gets into this routine so much, and she draws the audience in. Look at her go. She has a lot of fun out there, and this is the event that you can do that.
Last year, she was the NCAA West Regional Champions on the floor exercise.
That's right. It was a double full for her second pass. That's right. At that meet, the West Regionals, she scored a 9.95, which is pretty exciting. So to better that mark just last weekend with a 10 was a highlight of her career. Here's the tempo change in the music that we were talking about. It's also a great chance for the gymnasts to get their breath and catch their breath before their last tumbling pass. See what I mean about those facial expressions? Trust me, she gets everyone, including her teammates, into this. And that was an Arabian 1 1/4.
Listen
and
to
a
the
great
crowd.
routine for Amy Thorne. She has to be pleased with that. And look at Coach Scott Bull. He's excited about that, that's for sure. And the score for Amy Thorne, a 9.9. Not too shabby.
Now don't go away. We're coming back to Pauley Pavilion to wrap it up for you in just a moment.
You know that if you're injured in a car accident, even if it's partly your fault, you may have money coming. Your insurance company won't tell you, but I will. I'm Tom Cacciatore, and I'm an attorney. For example, if your child is walking or on a bike and is hit by a driver without enough insurance, I can still get your money. I specialize in car accidents and more. So call me and let's talk about it at no cost to you.
Call Tom Cacciatore at 1-800...